Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Holistic Love. It is your host, Fox Red Sky, astrologer, matchmaker, all the things. And we are so lucky today because we're not just, expanding upon our personal development, not just expanding upon the things that we need to work on, but really getting clear with what we want and what is really a perfect, beautiful example of a real alpha male. And we have the beautiful Mika Michelle here with us today, which I am so excited about.
Hello.
We also have our co-host here, Dawn Ray. Dawn.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Happy to meet Mika Michelle. You know what I'm saying?
Happy to meet you, Dawn.
All right. There we go. I'm going to be a fly on the wall and chime in here and there, but we're going to get some of this divine feminine energy. You know what I mean? That part.
Absolutely. And Mika, if you would, I love you. You know I love you. I've known you, and I think you're a goddess. But could you just share with the audience anything you'd like to share about yourself? Just kind of introduce them to the magic that is you. I know I've personally got to experience your magic through some of your ETF sessions where we looked at my childhood wounds and really my issues around money and all those things that came up. I mean, your talents and your gifts are just extraordinary.
Aw, thank you so much. A little bit about me. I have been facilitating EFT, or emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping, since 2009. I also have been facilitating different styles of Tantra since 2017 and just been deeply immersed in the work of sexuality because I really needed it to overcome my own traumas, which is what had me super involved in the topic since about the age of 19, studying different areas of sacred sexuality. And I've been doing that as my purpose, my work, and my career, since about 2009. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel so blessed to have you here, girl. I mean, I know you're a world traveler and you're like, it's very hard to find, you're zooming around, man. You got places to go and people to see. And I know that, we had a beautiful opportunity in Costa Rica to really connect and kind of you really helped me birth one of my companies, Cosmic Matchmaking, which is really about using astrology, but really using people who are doing the work to match them with other people who are doing the work to have healthy connections. And you really kind of showed me just through your own way of describing what you're seeking and really clear about what you're seeking in terms of what a healthy alpha male looks like. And yeah, I feel like you hit it on the money, girl. I know that you're this year's going to be your year and you're going to find your divine masculine.
That part.
So if you could please share with the audience and the world what it is you think is an alpha male and what you think divine masculinity truly looks like for you.
Well, I would say alpha male and divine masculine are definitely two different terms, and divine masculine can show up in many forms, which doesn't necessarily have to be an alpha male. However, what I've noticed in the last few years is an attack on the masculine and it being called toxic, and it's been really detrimental. I mean, the movement of Me Too and all of that stuff was super necessary, but being someone who works primarily with men are stuck how do I show up as a man without being called toxic or being called out, and they feel stuck and unsure how to move forward in their masculine without crossing a boundary, because we've really created this dynamic where it's the feminine against the masculine, and it's the feminine is angry for the years of being pushed down, but now instead of finding balance, it seems like the pendulum has swung so far that we're sort of beating masculinity out of men, and it's not healthy at all. So seeing men stand up in their divine masculine, seeing them lead from a place of power and confidence, but also taking a woman's perspective into account, right? For instance, I've just had a man today, hey, I'm going to pick you up at this time. I would like you to, it's going to be cold, so wear X, Y, Z, taking my my needs into account. Like, it's going to be cold. Oh, I know you're traveling. Do you need me to bring you any XYZ? But not like, oh, what do you want to do?
Right.
Or like in dating apps, when men, instead of saying, can I take you on a date? They're like, let me know if you want to hang out sometime. It's like, that's not even a question. That's just like a really weak, weird statement.
Right,
you know?
that's literally a statement. You just, okay, I'll do that. Is that the response? That's the response. Like, I'll do that.
It's like, actually, I don't want to anymore. Thanks,
Right,
thanks for making that clear.
Awkward.
But what it is like they're avoiding rejection, right? Yeah. Because if I said, hey, I would like to take you out, like, do you want to go on a date? There's a possibility that she could say no. But if you just say, let me know if you want to hang out, like, you're avoiding rejection, which is just showing a lack of confidence, and it's showing weakness.
That's actually some little boy stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something that I personally had to get over. Is like being able to accept the answer to the question that I want, right? Mm-hmm. So don't ask the question you don't want to know, but then if you're scared to approach and ask the question, are you even valid to ask the question?
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. And I feel for men. I don't want to make light. I know the voice I'm making sounds a little disrespectful. I don't want to make light of what men are going through. Like, it takes something to have the confidence to ask a woman out. Like, I don't want to downplay that. It takes something for sure. But like, that is the confidence and the divine masculine. That's like what we love. That's what turns us on.
That's what ignites it.
So that's sexy.
That's what ignites it. Yeah.
It's like, ugh, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think that, like, you know, to add to and articulate what you're saying is just that, like, basically, like, we still want men in our lives. We want men to be men for sure, you know. But I also think that, like, in the main culture and like a lot of the narratives that are spun on television or movies and stuff like that, is that like, well, if you do this, then you're an alpha man. But like, I feel like real alpha men kind of are the ones that like see the pack and like know how to take care of everyone, and they're very stealthy and almost kind of quiet about it. There isn't this huge, like, you know, beating of chest like, me man. It's more of like, I know I'm a man and I'm here to take care of business. And that is like, oh, please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, that's hot. That's hot. And that's kind of what I've heard you talk about when we've had our private conversations and so forth, that I just like, yeah, that does sound really, really hot. Like,
yeah, it's exactly like, it's not the beating your chest and like, I'm a man, you do what no, not at all. It's like a confidence within themselves. You know, it's like, I know what I bring to the table and I'm excited to share that with you. And it's also like a monitoring of how is she showing up, you know? Right. A divine masculine has standards. He's not going to tolerate like flaky bull stuff. So that was close.
Yeah. Good job.
He's not going to tolerate nonsense from a woman. So that's the other piece that I think is really important, is a lot of men are like, oh, I need my divine masculine. I want a king, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, cool. Are you a queen? Have you done the work to be in your queendom?
Whoa, protect this woman. Protect this one. Protect this human. Protect this human. Man, wow. So,
well, I mean, thank you. I don't want it to sound like I'm against men. Not at all. Like, women, we need to do the work. If you want to call in a queen, you better own your throne. You better own your crown. You better be willing to treat him like a king, you know, otherwise a king isn't going to be interested in you. So do the inner work on yourself.
You know? Absolutely. And I think that something you had else mentioned to me, you know, when as we were doing like our onboarding process with the matchmaking and stuff like that, was like, you know, you want someone to be an alpha so that you can be in your feminine. Like, you want to be in your feminine. And it's like, a lot of times when men aren't like, you know, truly accepting their role, it's like, it's almost forces women to be in that role without their like really wanting to be there fully in that place. So
yeah, absolutely. When a man is fully in his masculine, the way that you just get to surrender, like, I have an example that's not even someone I was dating, a completely platonic, amazing friend of mine, Zion. And it's like, I was managing a bunch of stuff in Tulum for our VIP table and whatever. It was just a lot. And Zion looked at me and he's like, you have decision fatigue. Don't worry, Mika, you're complete with decisions for the day. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I don't want you making another decision for the day. I know what you like to eat. I know what you like to drink. When you're thirsty, tell me. When you're hungry, tell me. Like, thank you for all you've done today. You're done making decisions.
Wow.
And I'm like, and it was just like the way I got to relax.
Right.
And it was fun to see him step into that role. And then I'd be like, Zion, I'm thirsty. And he would just be like, alcohol or no alcohol was the only question. Because that's another thing. Men ask so many questions like, okay, let's go on a date. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Like, can I, and even the way that they're getting consent. I teach how to get consent in a sexy way because, yes, consent is totally necessary.
Right.
But imagine being with a man that's like, can I touch your leg? Okay, can I touch your arm? Can I kiss you? It feels so weak.
It's a little
and
weak.
like,
Yeah, it's hard. It's a little, yeah, that's kind of dry, like conversation.
Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, consent, but learn how to ask questions in a way that embodies your confidence and allows her to relax, you know? So that's a whole module that I teach with my male clients is, like, how to get consent in a sexy way so that she actually feels really safe with you and she's open. She's, like, willing to open up more because she knows you got her. Bringing I got this energy to the table is really what the divine masculine is about.
Bringing
this.
I got this energy to the table.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and also I know you said something, and I want to like expand on that. Is like, I know when I'm with somebody who I don't have to do all the things and I feel safe with them, I'm 10 times more likely to be much more turned on and sexual versus like trying to like figure out all the things that, you know what I mean? Like put all the pieces together. So like feeling safe and feeling like someone has got this is like, that is hot. That's really, really hot. Because I can get it all the time. I do it by myself. I'm really good at it. But, like, to know that, like, I have another person that's there for me that can just, like, you know, let me, like, lose a little control and, like, step back and truly be in my divine feminine, that's very sexy. That's hot. Very, very hot.
And it takes awareness. It takes sensory acuity. It takes them reading your body language and knowing when you want more and knowing when to like pull back and give you space. You know, it takes so many different things.
Damn.
Yeah. I find for me like learning those things in like real time when that's happening, right? And being sensitive to like what my partner and being like I forget the verbiage you said, but asking in a desirable way. So it's not like, you know what I mean? But just being able to, for me, as my masculinity grew, my confidence grew. I've always been confident with what I brought to the essential situation, but just not wanting my partner to feel insecure or inadequate or like they're less than, but still wanting to learn and grow. So that's been some of the work that I've been doing. So I'm excited to like, you know, learn more about ways in which I can bring up subjects that I like to explore and things of that nature, you know, with any relationship, honestly, and still keep that divine masculine frame and not be frail or callous or anything like that in that regard. So shouts out to you and what you bring to the table once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I think would be really helpful for a lot of men, and like this, I'll give the cliff notes of this because this is actually a really like long part of what I teach, but just a very short version of it.
Mika Michelle, y'all guys. Mika Michelle.
Mika Michelle.
That is, if like say you're on a date and you're wanting to, I'm looking at you, Don, just because.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no.
But
yeah.
say you're on a date and you've not slept with this woman. You're like, you guys haven't engaged in that way at all yet, and you're wanting to take her home, but you're sensing some level of she's unsure,
right?
You know.
Yeah, right.
Now this only works if it's true on your behalf that you would be happy to go home with her and it not escalate to like full on penetrative sex, but you just want to be
like genuinely companionship.
Yeah, you genuinely want to explore to whatever level she's comfortable with, right? Okay. So then that could be anything is on the table. There's so much more to pleasure than just P&V sex.
No, for sure.
You know?
For sure, yeah.
But so often what men don't understand is what's running through a woman's mind is like, wow, I'm into this man, but I don't know if I want to have sex with him tonight. If I go over, at what point am I going to have to like push him away and stop him? Like there's a whole internal dialogue in our mind of like, oh God, because then I'll have to do this and blah, 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 blah. what a man can do to put you at ease and just have you open up so much more is like when you're still at dinner or wherever you are, be like, hey, I would really love to take you home and explore things further, but let's set boundaries here so that you know that you're not having to push me away, that I'm not going to push past any boundaries. So like, what are you feeling open to? If that's just having a conversation, amazing. If you're open to making out, awesome. Love that. If you're open to like, and
That's
literally
hot, though.
understand what it is, and then just let her know like your boundaries are respected, and I want you to know that like we won't go past those. So if you change, and I like to put it in a time frame, like I call this the turn on time bomb.
The turn on time
So
bomb.
for instance, it's like, all right, for the next 30 minutes, I just want to give you pleasure. Whatever that looks like to you, let's set your boundaries right now. So maybe that's like she's open to everything but penetration, we'll say, just for fun. But it could be literally anything.
Right, anything, yeah.
It's super important that you 100% stick to those boundaries for that 30 minutes and literally set a clock. And what's fun is like, say you've said 30 minutes and she's open to whatever, it's going really well. And at minute 22, she's like, okay, I changed my mind. I just want you. You're like, cool, we can talk about that in 8 minutes.
That's that's bet.
Yeah, because this is another thing that men don't realize, and in fact, women don't even realize we're doing it to you. It takes a really aware woman to know that she's doing this, but we're all doing it all the time. Okay. We are monitoring you for your integrity, and we are looking for cracks in your armor. We are looking for ways, because we're trying to see if we can trust you. So if we set a boundary and I'm like, okay, no penetration for the next 30 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, I changed my mind, I want you. If you then go back on your word and penetrate me within the 30 minutes that we agreed not to, I maybe won't think anything in the moment, but on a subconscious level, I'm like, oh, he lacks integrity, I can't trust him. Right. Like the woman will be feeling that, whether she knows it or not.
Right, that's a real thing.
Yeah, so it's super important for you to use these things with the utmost integrity. No matter what changes, you hold the boundaries that you agreed to hold. And let her know ahead of time that they're not flexible. She does, like, you know what I mean? That's why I like to set like a 30-minute or a 1 hour time frame, but you don't want to say it for the whole night because then it might be torture for both of you.
Right. And that's and men, that's where stoicism comes in and the self-work comes in for like restraint and you putting your energy in the right pots and not letting your cup runneth over and having balance, right? Because you have to have stoicism even to be able to maintain an appropriate frame in that space for all the reasons she just said. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you for the free game. Thank you for that. Mika.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, Mika. And I absolutely I just respect all of the work that you have done and who the woman you are. And just like, I know that like this year, and any man who you really consider to be your equal will be the most magnificent Adonis, beautiful, wonderful, whole self-aware human being. And yeah. And I think it's good that we set we ask the universe for what we want. I think a lot of times what happens is we'll see something that's almost close to our standard, and we'll be like, well, I'm lonely right now, and like I want to go do this real quick. And then what happens is our cup gets full with something that isn't what we want. Whoa. And then we're like stuck in the situation that isn't necessarily a bad situation, but it's a situation that isn't really in alignment with who we truly are. So my hat's off to you for just knowing what you want and sticking to your guns and just being the beautiful goddess that you are. And I'm just so grateful for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And to speak to what you say, I mean, it's absolutely true. I feel like it's even a saying in life and business is like, good is the enemy of great. Like, whoa. So if you settle for good, you're never going to get great. And you will never get what you deserve if you continue to settle for less. Where's it going to land?
Exactly. And for sure, those words are very much resonating with my spirit right now. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. But and to add on to like I do feel like sometimes the pendulum swings too hard in our society, like with the Me Too movement, and like men not having any kind of comfortable space to really like examine certain things and certain attitudes. But really, like, that's what I love about this podcast, and what I love about holistic love is like, I'm doing the work. We're all at a different level, right? And we're allowing to have like safe conversations about it and safe conversations around it. And it's not like, oh, now we're judging you and you're bad and da da da. There is no good or bad. It's more of like, where are you at? Because like, you're not who you were 5 years ago. You're not who you were yesterday. And and so it's like, so that's the beautiful thing. And is like, to our audience and our listeners out there too that are struggling with really dating or anything having to do with standing and being proud of being masculine, it's like, we're here, we're listening, we're having this conversation as women and as men too, like to really to open up this wound that's kind of happening collectively, and do some collective healing, because it's like this, like it's everyone's experiencing it. No one's not experiencing this.
Really?
So
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Yeah. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and I would really love to see women wanting to empower men as opposed to tear them down. Like, women, I get that we were mistreated throughout the ages. I get that a lot of people have anger. I get that there's been so much sexual assault. That's how I started my career, was primarily working on women who have dealt with sexual assault. So like, I get it. I've been in the trenches, and it's like, we have to empower, because what's going to make the difference is men being willing to stand up. Because why is it that 1 in 6 women have been raped but nobody knows a rapist? Is it just one dude out there getting everybody? No, it's not. So like, empowering men to stand up when they see something to make an impact.
True story. Found out somebody that I was in a workout group with was one of those guys that wasn't one of those guys that was on the up and up. So we kind of like didn't invite him to social gatherings. We just kind of had him at the gym. He's a good guy to work out with, crappy guy to go out with. You know what I mean? So one time we saw him and he was just hovering over this girl's drink, and I was just watching him. You know what I mean? I was just watching him, and one of my other friends, he was like, "Hey man, what's that dude doing over there?" So we saw this dude drop something in her drink, bro. We immediately like got him out of that situation, you know what I'm saying, for all intensive purposes, you know what I mean, fill in the gaps. But yeah, man, and that's not something that we had to talk about, though.
Yeah.
That was like, I was noticing it, and I was like being discreet, not to be like silent, but to not to make sure I wasn't wrongly accusing someone. So then once I confirmed it, within moments of me confirming that and within myself, my other friend was like, "Hey man, look at that shit." We're like, "Nah, we got to get him out of here." And then we informed this one, that one. Then we actually did a little bit of detective work, found out that like, hey, he was in the place and this and that guy's still in jail. He's still in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's what we need, because it's like, we need to realize that as women, we don't have the same physical capacity as men.
Right.
And so this movement of like demonizing masculinity, it's hurting all of us, because we actually need masculinity. It takes masculinity to do what Dawn did.
Yeah.
It takes masculinity to stop someone who's in the middle of an assault. We need to empower the masculine to be in their masculine. Masculinity is not toxic. A lack of masculinity is toxic.
Man, say it again, please. What? Because it sounds different when women say it. It does.
And
it's true.
And something I wanted to share as well is that, like, what happens is when men are shamed for being men and all these things, then the pendulum swings again. And then there's this like radical thought of like, well, women just think too much in their emotions. And then like these very unhealthy narratives start like dividing us. And it's like, I mean, not to try to like talk about other people who are, talking about the same thing we're talking about, but like they really like to like pose the idea that, well, men are logical and women are just in their feelings all the time. But that's not logic. That's actually just a trauma response to that men are having to being demoralized for being men. And but the truth of the matter is that we all are humans. We all have emotions.
Right.
And we all get emotional. And guess what? We're all logical. There's not one or the other. It's like
We're all masculine and feminine. We all have both.
Like, it's not but like again, it's just a response. It's like the kids are like fighting back, right? And they're like, well, then it's just because women are dumb and we're, you know what I mean? But those ideologies that's like the perfect breeding ground for them, because and it's really just another, it's just evidence of the wound it's coming from them for not being supported in their masculinity. So thank you for saying that, and really
and I really want to support the masculine. And one thing I think most men could, like, one thing that would help everyone, including women, but like, since we're talking about masculinity, it's like, take some martial arts classes. Take, like, first of all, like, being in the state of having to fight and stuff boosts testosterone. 100%. Obviously it encourages fitness, but also, like, I kind of have I don't want to say this to sound, well, whatever, people can judge me.
Yeah. Speak your truth.
Thank you.
Speak your truth.
Men, we need you to have the ability to fight. Because if you think that your being peaceful is a virtue, it's only a virtue if it's a choice. If you don't have the capacity to be violent, then you being peaceful is not a virtue. It's the only choice you have. You're harmless. You're not peaceful.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Shout out to the other podcasts out there that speak highly on this.
Yeah, I think
because
Jordan
you're
Peterson
harmless.
Speaks about
Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, you're just harmless, bro. You're just harmless. Yeah. Like, honestly. Like, I'm sitting here composed with two lovely young ladies. It's not because I'm harmless. If somebody were to come in here and act crazy, they all would see something totally different. And I would pray that you would know that, like, I'm still the same person. I was just guarding y'all's safety, you know? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you got to be peaceful, bro. And martial arts, thank you for speaking on that, because there's a new surge of Gen Zers that are consciously emasculating, painting a effeminate version of what they need. And when things go down in a negative way, this thing that you've been painting, that's going to be your girlfriend, not your boyfriend, or not your man friend, because you've been, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm articulating that correct.
I mean, it's like, I forget who said this quote, but I mean, I know it's been on the Joe Rogan podcast, but better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Man. Like, learn how to be able to defend yourself, your woman, the people in your life, whether you're single or not. If you're seeing something happen, you don't need to know the person. If someone's being assaulted, step in, do something, you know, like, because I've witnessed it myself. And I'll never forget this, because it happened in Zipolite, Mexico. And I was watching a woman get assaulted against a garage, like in a public near a farmer's market. And in the past, I had the belief that, people would get involved and help each other if anything went wrong. And I literally had to run through a group of 6 men, like push through them to get at the guy. And I just like ran at him with my water bottle because I didn't have a plan, you know? Yeah. But I just turned around and I looked at these guys like with tears in my eyes, and I was like, really? Really? You did nothing? Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it was just like, it hurt.
And that's crazy, because geographics definitely contribute to that, right? Like, I know some places in like Western Ethiopia or whatever, it's like, it's like, boop, you know what I mean? And then I know in some places in Mexico, it's like people are scared to get involved because of certain affiliations or, you know, certain family members. But that doesn't take away from the human aspect, you know? And it's disheartening as a man to see other men not do anything. And that's tough.
And it's really disheartening as a woman to see other
fearful,
men
right?
not protect a woman, because then you're like, wow, if they won't protect her, they wouldn't protect me either. Right. You know? And it's heartbreaking. So that's one thing that I really think a lot of men could benefit from is martial arts training. Not to go out there and be violent. Absolutely not. If you look at martial artists, like, they're the least, like, they will have the endless peace. They will like try to talk you down every time until it becomes impossible, and then you're on the ground before you even before you knew what happened. But still, they don't have that, like, I need to puff my chest and like start. No, like, they'll be the calmest ones. Come on, man. Because you have the ability to be calm when you actually know that you can defend yourself. You don't have to peacock about it because you actually got it. You know?
Yeah, nah, for real. Like, you're literally looking like 1, 2, 3. Come on, bro, chill. Like,
like, please.
Yeah, please, bro. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really good that we're talking about all these things, and I'm very, very excited about like, this movement, this, these, it's important, because we need each other.
Yeah.
We need the men, and the men need us, like,
Yeah,
and it's just really getting clear and healthy with it, and so I'm so grateful, Mika, for you to be coming on the show. I love you. I know you took some time out of your day, and I really appreciate all that you have to offer. You're an amazing person. I have the highest respect for you. And y'all guys, if you don't know how to find her, on Instagram or all the things, MikaMichelle.com.
MikaMichelle.com is my website, which is MikaMichelle. And I'm more active on Instagram.
Hey, that's my jam.
My Instagram is awakened sexuality, past tense. Awakened sexuality is my Instagram. So yeah, I would love to connect. I would love to hear how this lands for you. If you're going to try the turn on time bomb, please let me know how it goes.
Yeah. Y'all guys, and I really want to bring you back again. I know there's more things that we could talk about, and we will in the future. But again, it's another close to another beautiful segment here on Holistic Love. And I just want to remind you, not only are we still doing the work, but I also want to remind you that as you become fully aware of all the things that are going on with you, and you get clear with yourself and love yourself, you will attract the love, a healthy connection into your life. And you're deserving of that. You are worthy of it beyond compared. Don't you ever forget that. And yes, I'm just sending you all the love from my heart.